Heads will roll. You have been warned. Content is explicit. Welcome. You are listening to Bewitch Banter with two best friends.
One skeptical, not to be named to the left of me.
And our resident believer, Krista.
Howdy. We talk about, badass women and witchy women and a lot of bewitchery.
And today we are going to be talking about Anne Boleyn, one of the OG witches.
Bam, 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 bam.
She's most known for being King Henry VIII's second wife. But she's not only known for their terrible marriage, but also for being a trailblazer and from infamous allegations against her that she was a witch, which was all fueled by politics. The Tudor times.
Tudor
dynasty.
Does that mean anything to you as an English woman?
Oh my god, the Tudor. Oh, that was great time in our country.
I don't know, I'm asking.
No, it doesn't
did you learn any about English history ever? Besides from the American lens, obviously, where you grew up, but I'm just curious.
I mean, I'm no expert. Corey probably knows.
I was going to say Corey would tell you more.
Corey knows way more than I do.
Could, yeah.
I went to the castles when I went to visit England, but I would not say I'm an expert by any means. Or I have a different viewpoint than Americans, and I put my nose up when they talk about
not
English.
at all. The least snobby British person / what's the word? Stereotypical, when you think of a snobby British person? No, not her.
It's kind of funny how a lot of people think British people are snobby or classy because a lot of them are very trashy.
Ooh, heard it first. Bewitched Banter. We're now canceled by England. Fuck.
No, but British people think it's funny because they think it's funny how America thinks they're so posh. They're really not when you get to know.
Oh, please. We are so behind all the times.
No, but they how a lot of people are like, oh, you're English? It's like a posh thing, and it's not. It's just like a American thought. I don't know why.
Okay.
But anyway, back to Anne. Bo bam. So she
Anna banana bofana bofana.
But basically, they said she was a witch. It was a way to undermine her, and they didn't want her to have influence over England, and basically to justify her downfall in the eyes of her enemies, which we're going to get into. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She was born into an aristocratic English family. And her family was English nobility. So her dad served as a courier and diplomat for King Henry VII and King Henry VIII. So obviously
they were working their shit up in there.
Whining and dining with the rich and the royals, and they're all up in there, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And because she comes from a well-to-do family, she spent most of her time of her childhood in the Netherlands and France. Very highly educated woman. She was attending some of the best schools in Europe. She studied dance, music, and literature. And she was very open to learning about different ideas that were stemming from the Renaissance period. So progressive for her time.
Yes, she was from what I read and watched about her, very progressive, kind of bad, just bad bitch vibes all over her.
I briefly remember learning about this in middle school history, but not as much detail as obviously I'm going to talk about. But I do remember learning about her being accused of a witch and all his wives.
Yeah, see, I am actually shocked that you picked her as your witch because I've been doing a lot of watching about her lately. And
was it your favorite pastime?
No, I think it's because the Broadway show is pretty popular right now. The 7 or the 6, whatever.
Oh,
8.
I didn't know that.
Because he had 8 wives, right? Or however many wives he had. It's called the.
He had 8 wives.
Yeah, so the 8, and then they go through the story of each woman.
Okay.
So that's why it's probably popular right now. In addition
to allowed to get away with that. That's what we should be more mad
I know.
About.
It's never. We talked about this the other day. It's never the man, and it's never the criminal. It's always want to talk about the murderer and not give any credence to the victim, and we're just gonna let women be the fucking witches, quote unquote, and burn them for it just because God forbid we have a little bit of power. Fuck you.
Well, that's basically what this whole story boils down to. Anyway, so Anne returned to England when she was a teenager, and she was serving in the court of Queen Claude of France and then Queen Catherine of Aragon, Henry VIII's first wife.
Yeah.
And so she's serving in court at this point, and this is where she catches King Henry's eye. And King Henry falls madly heels in love for
Oh.
Anne. And it's just basically, he's like, she's going to be my bitch.
Also, she was like 15, I think, when he spotted her, and he was like 30.
That I didn't get into, but that's probably true.
I'm pretty sure.
But I think at that time that was standard. It wasn't seen as creepy.
True, but
Because you didn't even live that long.
still fuck right off. Yeah, get out of here.
But yeah, I think most people got like married. I almost said wedded. But he was basically attracted to her, like all the things we said at the top. She's witty, she's intelligent, she's charming. And they wrote each other passionate love letters. So this is while he's still married to Catherine. He's cheating on her and he writes her this, okay?
Yeah, he fucked a lot of bitches.
And it's referred to as...
including Anne's sister. Own sister Mary was one of his first bitches.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is called Letter 15. Darling, I and my heart put ourselves in your hands, begging you to recommend us to your good grace, and not to let absence lessen your affection to us. For a great pity to increase our pain, of which absence produces enough and more than I could ever have thought could be felt, reminding us of a point in astronomy, which is this: the longer the days are, the more distant in the sun, nevertheless the hotter, so is it with our love. For by absence we are kept at distance from one another, yet it retains our fervor, at least on my side.
Oh, damn. He like, I'm still thirsty.
He's
Call
like,
me.
this boner's hard.
Yo, slide me into them DMs. I want to slide tonight.
Can you just want to talk to you like that now?
No.
I feel like, can you get to the fucking point?
I was going to also repeat, what did you just say?
Exactly.
All I know is he's still fucking thirsty.
Yeah.
I got the point. But
yeah, if someone talked to me like that, I'd be like, get to the point. I don't have time for this.
yes, get it in or get it the fuck out.
But so his divorce from his first wife basically leads to the English Reformation.
Yeah.
He makes up in his mind that, or maybe, I don't know if you actually believe this, but he is saying she's cursed. And the main driving factor is that he wants a male son because he needs someone to take over as king.
Yep.
And Catherine has given birth to several children, but only one had survived, and it was his daughter named Mary. In 1527, Henry petitioned to Pope Clement VII for annulment of his marriage. And he even tried to use the Bible as a persuasive tool. He cited a passage from, is it Leviticus?
Leviticus.
What is it?
Leviticus.
2021 that prohibited a man from marrying his brother's widow. His argument was that his marriage to Catherine was unlawful in the eyes of God because she had previously been married to his older brother Arthur, who died. So I think that's where you're getting Mary and the brother maybe mixed up. Because Mary is his daughter.
Oh, no, that Mary became Bloody Mary, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And he did have an older sister, I believe, named Mary, who was in the same court and was absolutely one of the fuckballs.
Okay.
For King Henry VIII.
I'm sure he had several.
Oh, countless probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things I watched, there was a whole thing on how Anne didn't want to fuck with him because she's like, ew, that's my sister. Like, we're not, that's gross, you know?
Oh, really?
She didn't fuck with him for a while. Like, a lot of those letters she never responded to because she was like, nah, I just want his money.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
we forgot to talk about your intervention.
Did I say it again?
Hmm?
Did I just say the F-bomb again?
Yeah. You don't even notice when you say it anymore, do you?
No. Tell them. Go ahead. Tell the people.
So
why I need help. Go ahead.
Well, one of the reasons she needs help.
A polite F you?
This Thursday, we went out with her mom and dad for her birthday. And I don't even know how it came up.
How did it come up?
I don't remember. But anyway, it came up. And
sure did. They wouldn't stop talking about it.
We gave Krista an intervention because she says fuck every 2 minutes. And her mom and I was begging me. Literally. It was like time to say goodbye. She was like, friend, you care about her and you really just want her to stop saying it. Please. It was like, you could see the desperation in her eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we gave Krista an intervention and she did not like it.
Well,
it was also on your birthday.
Thank you.
But, yeah, the intervention happened. It wasn't planned.
But because of it now, I'm very insecure. So I'm going to try to be more mindful of it.
Maybe
I think you're
Rob
welcome.
and Barb will listen to the podcast. My favorite line of the night was your dad said, yeah, makes Amy sound so much smarter than you.
He basically was like,
She sounds so much smarter than you, but she doesn't really deserve to hear. I can't remember.
He was trying to say, yes, I'm smart, too.
Yeah, but the way it was, I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
Because I know him, but it sounded funny, basically like you're not that smart. But it makes you sound really smart. It was funny.
Just by one word, I think
they said it's because you say it too much that it lost the emphasis of what it means.
I follow that logic.
Yeah, because like if you say it's like saying
it becomes
you become numb to it.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're all numb on this podcast now. That was the intervention. Okay,
good. Back to the scheduled
intervention
events. The unscheduled, unplanned, unwelcomed intervention.
It was entertaining.
Oh God.
Okay, but back to King Henry being a terrible human being, right? So his argument was that his marriage to Catherine was unlawful in the eyes of God because she had previously been married to his older brother Arthur, who had died.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird to think about, but that wasn't strange for the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was first with him. So the Pope heard him out, and he's kind of was letting the idea like meander a little bit. I don't know what he's trying to do. He's simmering on it.
Marinating,
not meandering.
I knew where you're going with that.
It was bouncing around in his head.
Got you.
The Pope, considering what he's putting forward, but he doesn't know if he wants to allow this basically because there's going to be a lot of political implications. And one of them is Catherine's nephew, Charles V of Spain, plays a really important role in the Vatican, and the Pope doesn't want to ruin their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also worried about straying from the traditional Catholic doctrine when it came to marriage. He doesn't want to upset people.
Also,
he doesn't want to ruffle feathers, basically.
I also think I'm still married in the eyes of God, technically, by the way.
I mean, technically, you could be a lot of things.
I know, I'm just saying, according to my Catholic faith.
Oh. But marriage is all fake at the end of the day anyway.
It's all bullshit. Yeah, it's a constructed thing. A humanly constructed concept.
Yeah, so if it's humanly constructed, I think you can deconstruct in your mind.
Oh, I have.
Okay.
Many times over, as I hope you know by now.
Okay, so he doesn't want to upset people, but at this point, we know Henry can't keep it in, so he's knocked up Anne Boleyn. Okay?
Okay.
And this is when they decide that they're going to have a secret wedding because it still hasn't been approved by the Pope. Today we...
Oh, wait, they only got married because she was preggo?
Well, one of the reasons. He liked her, supposedly.
Yeah, the things I watched, he was like obsessed with her.
Yeah, he definitely likes her or
in
loves
lust with her
or whatever.
Yeah, he's in lust with her.
He knocks her up. We know a secret wedding happened, but we don't have any facts about where it took place. They believe it happened in January or February of that year. Even though it was still secret, they still wanted to make it official. So they had an Archbishop, Thomas Cranmer, who was newly appointed as the Archbishop of Canterbury, officiate the wedding at Whitehall Palace, okay?
Hey.
But top secret at this point, they don't want anyone to know Anne's pregnant either. So she's like hiding it, wearing baggy
You better
clothes.
wear that dress, girl. Better get that flowy wedding dress.
So now they have a public wedding and...
You mean private?
Well, they have a secret, and then they eventually have a public wedding June 1st on 1533 at Westminster Abbey.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But because of this wedding, it really did shape the history of England just because of this wedding and the uniting of the two of them, right? Okay? So it was like a ripple effect. So first, them being together caused the English Reformation to take place. And it was probably the most significant consequence of their marriage. So once they felt comfortable enough to have a public wedding, this led to England breaking ties with the Roman Catholic Church, which...
What's up,
doesn't
church?
seem like a big deal, but in those days is a big effing deal.
Yeah.
And
wait, are you censoring yourself now too?
Yes, I'm very censored. 1534, the English Parliament passed the Act of Supremacy, which made Henry the head of Church of England, which is also known as the Anglican Church.
But also where this idea comes from that when I was obsessed with The Crown this summer, where the idea that they believe that they're God, they're literally next to God, and they believe this bullshit.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's disgusting, but that's where that stems from.
But yeah, so the whole church, the head of it, it's the English monarch is basically the head.
Yeah.
This also led to the dissolution of monasteries. So Henry seized all their wealth and properties. And this led to significant economic and social consequences, redistributing wealth to the royals, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking all their...
They basically stole money from the church, but who are also thieves. But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
while Henry was motivated to do this because of financial reasons, Anne was mostly motivated to do this because she was a Protestant. So this move really helped weaken the Catholic churches and influence on England. So her whole goal is to have like Protestant as the mainstream religion. Because Henry broke ties with the Roman Catholic Church, this led the country to change religious identities. And 1 minute they would be Protestant and then Catholic and then back and forth and back and forth. This was a really dangerous cycle because, as we know, it led to lots of religious persecution. Yeah. For sake of time, I'm not going to get into all that, though.
No.
So Anne Boleyn did give birth to Queen Elizabeth I, and she became one of the most powerful monarchs at that time, which became known as the Elizabethan era. Kind of cool to have an era named after yourself.
Amen.
This is the Taylor Swift era. That's probably the closest we have to that.
Beyonce, hello.
I don't know. I feel like Taylor Swift has a bigger grip hold on the country than... She got how many people to register to vote? Like, she got like 400,000 people to register to vote the other day somehow. Like, her influence is huge. Pretty good.
I didn't know she did that. Then I respect that.
She does a lot of cool stuff. Did you hear about how she gave every semi-truck driver a $100,000 bonus?
On her crew, yes.
Yeah, she does some good stuff.
That was very good work.
But basically, his breakup with the Roman Catholic Church led to diplomatic tensions with Spain and influenced England's foreign policy for years.
Mm-hmm.
As they said, they had their public wedding June 1st, 1533, and Anne is officially the Queen of England. And she's only lasted as a queen and alive 3 years. But even though for such a short time span, she really did have a significant impact on England. I mean, 3 years isn't really that long.
No, it's not. And she gave birth to Elizabeth, so big impact.
So she's one of the first to support the Bible being translated in English.
Which I do appreciate. Yes, we're both not Catholics, but the fact making something she thought was accessible, that was that important to her, and literacy, and I don't know. I think that's, again, she was progressive. You talked about it, but
because she's Protestant, a lot of people abandon the traditional Catholic rituals and replace them with Protestant practices. So basically, they're Protestant because she's the leader.
Yeah.
And she plays a huge role on England's education system. She advocated for grammar schools, which is really cool. So she's, I mean, she is all about educating people. But one thing I don't like, which at the time it makes sense, but she influenced them to have Protestant teachings at these schools too. So it's a way to kind of get more followers.
Sure, a little culty, yeah.
Of course, none of this goes down well with everyone, which when does anything ever go over well with all the Karen? It caused lots of people to be outraged. She had several enemies at the court, and people didn't like how she was influencing and changing their country and their king. They're upset. First of all, lots of people were angry about the fact that Henry had divorced Catherine to begin with. Because it's, as you know, if you're religious, you don't get divorced.
Again,
their belief.
Still not technically divorced in the eyes of God, the Roman Catholic God himself, almighty.
But basically, this makes people dislike Anne from the get-go. They're not going to even give her a chance because they're like, you're basically a homewrecker. Also, people who support the Catholic Church are very angry, and they don't like how Anne is influencing England to head towards more to be Protestant leaning.
Sure.
So her haters, of course, like to undermine her by calling her a witch or accusing her of witchcraft. They thought that the fact that she had a Bible translated into English was very dangerous and was sinister play to take the power away from the Catholic Church. Heaven forbid. She was also accused of dressing like a slut. I don't think they called her a slut back then, but they said she was seductive.
Scallywag.
A scallywag.
I don't even know if that means that, but I'm gonna just insert it.
But anyway, she was dressing seductive, supposedly. Maybe she showed like a little part of her ankle. Who knows? And people are like,
well, you know what it was? It was the impure waist, apparently, that she was famous for. So accentuate the titties.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven forbid we tempt a man with our being ourselves.
Well, yeah, this is all self-hate, or not self-hate, hatred towards women.
Pretty much.
But they think, like, Henry's been cast under a spell, and this is a time when people are very superstitious. And this is before the witch trials. I didn't know if you were wondering.
Yeah, I actually was going to ask you that.
Because the witch trials happened more in, like, later 17th century, beginning 18th century, and this is more early 1500s.
Oh, okay. Wow. So well before. What,
Yeah, but they
100
had
years?
accused people of witches forever. I think it just wasn't so trendy, I guess. Or wasn't mainstream yet.
To kill a bitch.
I guess, I don't
literally.
know.
To kill a bitch.
I feel like it's probably happening from the beginning of time, right?
No, it wasn't, based on what I studied today. It wasn't until about a little before this, the Middle Ages, when monks saw like the herbalists taking their power. Again, it comes back to power, because men got all weirded out that these women could perform miracles, and then called it devil worship, because God forbid that man couldn't.
Yeah, and they also, I think it was probably a little bit because she was different than other people, because she had that French background. So it might have been even like a cultural misunderstanding sometimes. So they also didn't like her and linked her to being French, to being a witch. So it's probably also like hatred towards the French as well. The honeymoon bliss didn't last too long for Henry and Anne. And once again, Henry was angry because Anne wasn't pumping out any baby boys. Okay? And this, along a number of other things, start to break apart their marriage. As their marriage starts to fall apart, rumors start to spread that she's cheating on him. And one of the main rumor spreaders was Thomas Cromwell. And I'll talk about him a little bit. And he was trying to discredit her so his voice would be more heard in the court. So he would be taken more seriously. So Thomas Cromwell was one of the key figures in the court. He was a chief advisor to the king. And his dislike of Anne were rooted in like political, religious, and personal ideas. So I just don't think he liked her from the very get-go.
Well, yeah, because again, power. He wanted to be in Henry's ear.
Yeah, and he sees her as competition.
Right.
So he likes having the influence over the king, and didn't like when Anne suggested ideas different from him. And then the king sided with Anne.
Right.
And she has a very strong personality, which he also doesn't like, because she would speak up and disagree with him.
You know what's interesting? This is similar to when I was watching a thing about Cleopatra, back in, I don't know, the summer, where she married Caesar. Caesar obviously got murdered, and then she married Mark Antony, and there's a scene of her being like influencing him, and his main guy got pissed at her, so he basically plotted her death.
Yeah, it's just a power struggle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like they both each had different visions of where England should be heading as a country. Thomas is also an ass kisser to the king, very loyal to him, and doesn't like her because she's not producing a male baby. And he thinks that politically that would be the best move for the king to have a stable marriage, because that's going to benefit England at the end of the day. And she's just an obstacle basically in the way for that. The rumor started with the idea that she was cheating on Henry, but they grew to be full-on stories about how she was engaging in witchcraft and sorcery with new love affairs. Oh. People started to believe that she had casted a spell to seduce and manipulate the king. Again, these are politically motivated rumors, but they also wanted to make Anne appear to be, like, people to be scared of her. And, like, have people lose faith in her and not trust her word.
It's another PR smear campaign.
Yeah, it's all about power.
Yeah.
And people believe that she was having affairs with the courtiers? How do you say that?
Courtier? I don't know.
Courtiers.
In hard English.
Courtiers?
Courtier. Or courtier. And then in France, courtier, right?
Courtier? Okay. I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't speak French
People believe she was having affairs with people who worked in the court. That's easy enough.
Yes.
Probably the most damning rumor of all was that she committed incest by having an affair with her brother, George Boleyn, Lord Rochford.
Yeah, and the things I watched said that was never proven, but did you dig up anything on that?
No, they didn't really say, but...
Yeah, I think it was all just part of a smear campaign.
I kind of will talk about this at the end, but there is no real evidence for any of the accusations they made against her. But incest at this time is considered a heinous crime. So, obviously...
They made it up.
Yeah. But Anne Boleyn and her lovers were charged with committing high treason against the king. Engaging in adultery with the queen was seen as a threat to the stability of the monarch. So they're like double whammy.
What's it called? The peacocking. You're like upstaging the lead peacock guy.
Well, honestly, yeah, the king's not going to like it.
Broski.
Yeah.
What do you call that now? Dick competition? I think you said that at the top. Like dick measuring competition.
I didn't say it at the top, but
yeah,
you could say it's that. While the primary charges that were brought against Anne were adultery, incest, and treason, accusations of witchcraft and sorcery were brought up during the trial. In court, it was argued that Anne had been using spells, potions, and sorcery to seduce and manipulate the king and her lovers. I feel like if she was really a witch, wouldn't she have casted a spell on all the people who think she's a witch, not believe she's a witch?
That's so meta.
But doesn't that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But very deep, but yes.
The trial of Anne Boleyn and her lovers was highly controversial at the time. And people on Anne's side, like they believed her story, thought it was like a show trial. Like kind of like...
Judge Judy?
No, not like it was like all for show. Like, look what we can do with our power.
Oh.
You mess with us. Or
yeah.
You act like a witch, we'll get you. You're gonna go to court and we'll make sure you're guilty.
Yeah. Got it.
The evidence, I basically just said this, is he said, she said. There's no real evidence that's brought forward at all in court. And Anne, the whole time, is adamant throughout the trial that she's innocent. So she never once gives a guilty confession.
Love her for that.
Even though they have no real evidence, we all know the ending of the story, and Anne Boleyn was beheaded at the Tower of London on May 19th, 1336. King Henry didn't wait long to be remarried. He was married to Jane Seymour on May 30th, 11 days later, just days after Anne's execution.
What a sick fuck. And he was fucking Anne, Joan Seymour. What is it?
Jane Seymour.
Jane, thank you. Which was Anne's housemaid, if you were, or court girl. Basically, one of her many assistants. And so he was fucking her.
Well, also, 3 days after her execution, they had some... I didn't include it because I didn't want to look into what it was, but they had some kind of, ritual. It wasn't a marriage, but it was something to suggest they would get married. But they didn't officially get married till May 30th. 11 days, so they probably had to spend all the time organizing the wedding.
Ring.
It was basically a promise ring. And Jane was able to produce a male heir, who we all know as King Edward.
Oh, I didn't know that.
However, she died days after giving birth to King Edward from some complications. And then he went on to marry some other bitch.
I was going to say, how did Elizabeth become queen? I love this shit, you guys. Like I said, in the summer, I watched The Crown, obsessive.
Because maybe, I don't know. I don't really understand how all that works, to be honest.
Was it because she was the first? I don't either. It doesn't because then why didn't Mary become queen of England?
I don't know. You're asking me too many questions. I don't know. That would be a good question for Corey.
Yeah. See, we need to have it on sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know all this, but I do find the royalty deeply fascinating.
It's so fascinating. And again, back to I'm going to put myself next to God just because I'm a king or queen. Get that.
But it's basically King Henry.
I censored myself a little.
King Henry's just thirsty and decides to marry all these women and just accuses them of being a witch and killing them. And then everyone's okay with it. He is the horniest dog of all.
Oh my god, Trump?
Yeah, he's basically Trump and just gets away with it.
Do you think he was actually hot? Or do you think he was ugly?
Well, you have to imagine. I mean, I don't think he was hot. I don't even think he looked at people looks-wise probably back then. Well, that's a naive statement. Obviously, you looked at people for looks, but I think everyone was ugly then.
I mean, I always look for looks. As we know, I'm working on not dating men with six-packs. Okay?
Well, because you like douchebags.
I like men with a six-pack on my body. Thank you.
Yeah, but you like douchebags.
They tend to be douchebags, unfortunately.
Yes. Your type is douchebag.
No, not anymore. That's my real intervention.
But going back...
Screw the F word. My real intervention is no D-bags.
I want to talk about this for a second.
Okay, sure.
I think that they probably lived a life of luxury, which not many people those days
did. Yeah.
So if you had the offer of being the king, I bet a lot of people would take advantage of it.
For sure.
Because probably as a woman, you're shunned. You're told to be quiet and have a voice. And as a queen, you probably would actually have a voice and people would respect you.
We would be executed so hard.
Well, we're probably like Anne. Anne was opinionated, smart. Because we're all those things.
Sexy,
no, I'm just saying, but she was also opinionated and she spoke her mind. And
educated.
She spoke of ideas that were not widely accepted, which is probably hard as a female during that time. And he probably got tired of it and he's like, let's kill her.
Definitely. No, honestly.
Well, we're not in times where you can just kill your wife because you can't take them anymore. Right? Thankfully, we're living in more progressive times. You just get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't they just let people get divorced? You didn't have to off their heads. So, that is the story of Anne. Right?
Right. Oh my god. No, she was a bad bee, like we said. Bad bewitch. And, I didn't listen maybe to that point in all the things I was watching about her recently that they accused her of witchcraft. I knew it was like incest and
well, those were
heresy.
She wasn't formally accused of being a witch ever.
Okay.
It was brought up in court, but it wasn't one that thing she was found guilty on.
Got it.
It was just brought up. She is a witch, but she was being tried for incest, adultery, and betraying like the monarch and all that.
Yeah. Well, and again, she's only a witch because he was thirsty.
Yeah, and he wanted someone
and he
else.
wanted a new puss.
Basically, that's what it boils down to in our history.
And our Boylens, too.
And our
But yes, go me. Yeah, that was a good one.
And our history teachers never told it that way. He was thirsty, and
how did he not get
wood from, like, dids?
That's what I'm saying. How did it not?
I mean, it probably did at some point. Maybe we don't know.
I don't know. Well, maybe that's why he didn't get any children, because his dick was fucked.
His cod piece was huge, by the way. You want that
his dick?
You want cod pieces?
No, what? That's why I'm like, now he's hot.
Oh my god. No, so it's like your armor you wear when you go to battle, and it's like the modern day, what do you call when you...
So he had a huge dick.
No, it's probably made up, because it's like when you...
Jockstrap is what you're thinking
Jockstrap, yes. The modern, or the old day jockstrap. I think it's like when people went to get portraits back in the day, they'd be like, paint me beautiful. Don't paint all my pockmarks or my disease on my face. Now we have filters for that. Thank God.
Thanks, the script and Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat. Wow. Well, that was a good boiling point.
Did you feel corny?
Yep. And I loved every second of it.
That is Anne Boleyn.
Good.
It's a good name, I feel like.
Ooh, I know.
What?
That's how the Cauldron boilin'.
Pretty good. I'll give it to you.
I'm on it tonight. This is the 3rd or 5th on-demand copy I've got for you all. Welcome to Krista's ad class. Instead of mad men, mad woman. Thank you.
She's a witch.
I am. Practicing.
Okay.
Learning.
Should we say goodbye to our listeners?
Yes. We love you all.
Be wary of royal thirsty men. That's my advice.
And men with 6-packs. That's my advice.
Yes, that's my advice too. Good night.
Please be witches.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on Instagram or bewitchbanter.com. Suggestions for the show? Email us at bewitchbanter@gmail.com. Credits, Music Phantom Fun by Jonathan Boyle from premiumbeat.com. Podcasts, edited and produced by Krista Hins and Amy Holt. As always, if you enjoyed, please rate, review, and subscribe.